Hello musicians, welcome back. My name is Bucky and I am doing another video tutorial on a module by Audible Instruments. And this is another one. I've done a couple of other modules already by Audible Instruments, and these are open source modules. They are originally designed by Mutable Instruments, and that company has offered up the hardware and the software as open source. So you can go to their GitHub page and you can actually see all of their hardware and software for Mutable Instruments for this module and many other modules by Mutable Instruments. So the creators of VCV Rack has taken the software of these modules and ported it to work in VCV Rack. So it's very cool. It's like Bifaco's modules as well. They're not open source, but they have been ported into here with the permission of Bifaco. So very cool stuff. Anyway, today we're talking about the macro oscillator, this guy in the middle here. Now, I'm going to be going through the various functions of this oscillator. This one is a little complicated, so it's going to be a tutorial in itself, but I should be able to cover everything about this oscillator so you'll have a good understanding of it by the time we leave it. Now, let me just talk to you a little bit about what I got going on here so we can get some sound. I've got a mixer going. I've got ADSR running over here on the left. That gives us a little bit of shape to our sound. I also have JW modules, grid sequencer here with a little pattern on it. Nothing fancy. And yeah, and it's tuned, so we're using JW modules clock, which is right here. And that clock, the clock is, sorry, I said tuned. Sorry about that. What I mean is that we have our time signatures over here, our meter, and we'll be looking at that as we go. I may change that from time to time so it doesn't get too monotonous. So yeah, and we do have it tuned. I have it tuned to a blues scale in D because this grid sequencer gives us the ability to have a quantizer built in too, so it works good. Okay, so if I have play pushed, but if I'm going to turn it down. There you go. So you can hear we got some. There you go. So this is it's an oscillator. So right now we have a variation of saw wave going on here, and I don't have my scope set up, but you know we could probably do that and see all of the different waveforms that we have that are shown up here. But I'm not going to do that because we don't have it set up for that. Right now it's set up just to play these sounds, this melody, because I think that's going to be more helpful for us in this demonstration. But that's something we could do. We could put a scope on it and then see what all the waves look like. Not today. So you can see here we have a few options. We have a few things. We have our, as you just heard me do, we have our frequency adjustment, as we do on all of our oscillators, and we have a fine frequency adjustment as well. No need to go over that. That's pretty basic stuff. We also have timbre, and we have color. Now, I'm not going to tell you what timbre and color does because it's something you got to experiment with. And the reason why is because when you change the waveform in this module, as you see me doing up on top here, these buttons change. So what it might be for saw wave, when you get to a square wave, it may be something different. And maybe it's the pulse width on a square wave, and it will be like a filter of some sort for another wave. Bottom line is that these change. So what you need to do is you need to experiment with these. So let's have a little look and see what that does for us now. I'll turn this up a little, and let's try some timbre changes. So you can see there's some change. We can hear some change to it. Color. Very subtle change. We can also, as you can see, I have a couple of LFOs hooked up. So this will let me, this little attenuverter will let me change my, how much the LFOs are affecting these variables, the timbre and color. Now let's move on to another wave and see what else we got. You can hear the LFOs working there now. So you can hear the LFOs now, and you can hear that the timbre and color buttons now are providing different. Let's go to another one. There are a lot of really interesting waveforms we're provided with out of the box. Yeah, and something like this. You can hear the color and timbre are dramatic. Some detuned stuff going on there. Yeah, we get some really cool things going on here. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. Now, if you're like me, you like experiment with these and finding all kinds of cool things that they do, and because these do. Almost got a vocoder kind of sound to it, vocoder. So, as you can see, I had to change that a little bit because it's going to drive me nuts. Okay, so I'm going to turn our volume down. You can see that we have a lot of different, right out of the box, waveforms that we can play with here. Lots. And they are very cool. There's a lot of really interesting ones there. But you need to go through it yourself to see what it is. Now, on the manual for this, if you go to Mutable Instruments, the manual has every single patch, every single waveform, and a little description of each. So that's probably, might be, for some of you, might be a good place to start. So go to Mutable Instruments, look at the manual for this oscillator, and then, you know, check it out and see what you find. You might find something in there that might speak to you, and then go have a listen, and, you know, hey, you never know. So that is basically it. And the only thing I didn't talk about trigger, because that's pretty basic stuff. You understand that we've covered in other ones. FM, we've got frequency modulation here. We can control, no problem, and you can limit that or with this attenuverter. So lots and lots of cool things to do here, but you need to go play with it. Just like any oscillator, it has its own characteristics. So go play with it and see what you find. You never know. You might find an oscillator that you'll want to spend a lot of time with and make some great music with. You never know. So I'd love to hear about that music. So make sure that you put links to your music in the comments for this post. I'd love to hear from you. You can also get me in utopian.io Discord, and you can get me on the Steam chats as well. But I'd love to hear from you. And if you're a subscriber of mine on YouTube, please come over to utopian.io and come over to Steam it and check out all the cool things that are happening over here. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time. Good luck with your music, and I will see you next time.